Hey, welcome back to our YouTube channel, and this is part 2 of our JavaScript course. From the last time we've covered the variable and how the variable are so much important to programming language. So today we're going to continue, experimenting the JavaScript. So today's study is going to be the JavaScript course in general, but code structure. We are going to just see more of the code structure and what it is, what you should do and what you should not do. So I think you have noticed that we are having the semicolon here. So and this is one of the standard of many programming language, for example, like PHP. But in JavaScript, it is optional to end a statement with semicolon. So what do I mean by that? Let me just show you. Like, let me remove those semicolon and let me console like this, and put my onion here. So, and when I compile that, it's going to show the same result. Okay. So no matter what, if you put the semicolon, it means nothing for JavaScript. So whether you put it or not. But as we will see, it's a best practice to put the semicolon because in some scenarios, it can end up causing the crash of the software. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so now we have covered how to see the hello word, and we now can now see where the error can come and how can we fix it. So now I said it's just optional to put the semicolon. Now let's see something interesting. We have covered how you can have the variable. For example, let me delete this variable here. Let me say rate 1 equals 1 and rate 2, because we have covered the variable, equals 2. So this is how we define the variable, and we have covered in part 1. So now in programming language, we have what we call the arrays. So this is how we can define an array with the bracket that shows that we are going to whatever we put inside this bracket is called the array of those variables. So we can put our 1 and 2. So now this is like an array that have 1 and 2, right? And we can do anything we want, but you can see when I put the dot at the end, they suggest me a lot of things that I can do. One of them is to find the length of that this array, right? And because we learned how to consort something, so I can use that console.log, if you remember, then I can put whatever I want to log so that I can see, right? And we see the length of this array of 2 number is 2, which means that we have 0 at the index and we have 1, which is the length is equal to 2. So now having that, now we can go a little bit further. Maybe we want to show whatever element that we have in an array, and we can do that by for reaching or grouping. So that's what we will see. But what I want to show you here is the code structure of JavaScript. So let me put the console here. Let me say console.log, right? Or let me put the console here. So if I compare, it's going to show me the bug, so that the console is not a function. So now why do we have the error there? Because actually the console is not is not written proper. So and we can define that bug by, you know, doing something a little bit different. We can one of way we can fix it is to remove that console, but you can see that for each is not a function, so we need to find how we can do that. One way is just to do it like this, then put the console here and put this element inside. So now we have the element printed. So but what I wanted to show is the code structure, like because this is a function and the function need to take the arguments, and one of the arguments is just taking the whatever it is getting from this array and show that element one by one. Then you need to provide that element you have looped through, and you use this arrow keyword and you pass this element back to the console. And this is how you can be able to combine that for each with console, right? So so basically in programming language you need to like we were talking about the semicolon, and in JavaScript is not auto inserted, meaning that you need to put that semicolon whenever you want to put it. So now the basic way you can think about it, the use of semicolon, then put the example here, is just doing this line. If you see this line of code, you can clearly see that this is a two line of code, but we ended up combining it into one line of code. So in normal way, this is okay, but now the compiler is going to be confused if this is one line of code or if it is two line of code. So can even put the console here because it's the one we learned. Then try to compile. So let me comment this. If you remember, the comment is the type of the code that is not going to be executed by your program. So let me try clear this out so you can see. Let me run it, and it's going to cause the problem. And if you see where the pointer is pointing, which means the error is between here. So why do we have that problem? Because the compiler think that this is one line of code, but it is not. As you can see, we have this console.log, and we have this array of a thing that we want to do. So now the best way we can do that is adding the semicolon, because the semicolon in JavaScript is optional, but in some cases where you have wrote something like this, it is essential now to put the semicolon. So let me clear this out again and let me have it. Then we have another problem, but it's just like we know how this we can fix it. So we can come here and we can do something like that. All right. Now when we compare back the code, it's going to run without any problem. But when I remove this semicolon here and try to compile that, it's going to cause the problem. So this is one of the structure I was talking about as the today topic. So no matter what, the JavaScript doesn't instruct you to put the semicolon at the end of the line, but it's optional. It's up to you to decide where you want to put it or not. But in most cases, like for example, this case, we can clearly see that it is so important to have the semicolon. If you have one big line of code that was meant to be two line of code, but you ended up having one line of code. So that's it. So now we can see the comments. Now we we have seen that you know, if we do this, this is a comment, which means that the compiler is not going to see this line of code, and we have multi-line comments in JavaScript, which is something like this. So which means you can put whatever you put inside this is going to be the comment. You know, this is like commenting on multiple line of codes at once. And so now there's several way of how you can you know, have this in your code editor. If you are using VS Code, you can control plus this is going to comment those, control plus this line, this keyboard, control plus slash, or you can control shift slash in some of our code editor. So it's going to add the comment to your program. So that was the part of code structure of today. Thank you for watching our YouTube videos, and see you